Hey sis.
Hey sister circle.
I'm your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany. And we are Sister Talk Network Podcast.
Sisters bridging the generational gap while encouraging candid conversations
and healing amongst women, friends, and sisters. You have a sister now. Hey sis.
Hey sis.
Hey, sister circle.
Thank you for joining us today. I am your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany.
And we are
Sister Talk Network Podcast. We back.
We're back for another day.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot about walking in purpose and keeping the focus on purpose and the things that come up along the way that can kind of inhibit that. But we kind of just glossed over it. We didn't really talk about what that really means to us, how we manage that, and in true transparency, like we always talk about, like giving our sisters a little bit of insight on what that looks like for us, and also tools that we use, which some of them are new for me, setbacks, which constantly come, and we will keep it real. And just how we navigate that. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today, because the reality of it is that our thought process, our focus, automatically defaults to learned behavior, how we grew up, and things like that. And we tend to follow our thoughts instead of leading our thoughts. So if we're going to be completely honest, focus, renewing your mind, which we talk about often, is one of the hardest things that you will have to do in life.
Fighting against myself.
Child. Yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah. The internal battle all the time.
Yeah, it never stops. It's just a constant, ongoing battle that we deal with constantly, no matter how hard we try to fight against it. So I wanted to talk about, some of the tools we use and things like that. But I read something and it was talking about frequency bias. And I'm like, what is that? So frequency bias basically is how we all of a sudden think we're seeing something out of the blue, like over and over and over again. Like I keep seeing this house, this type of colonial house or this stuff. But it's not really a thing. It's just that we've shifted our mind in a way where we're paying attention to that specific thing. So the example that they used really hit home for me, and it was a car.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Before I bought my black Infinity with the tan or rust interior, the last one I had, I never saw a car like that. Yeah. After I got that car, they were everywhere. So in my mind, it's like, oh, everybody's buying this car. No, they're not.
Yeah, it's just not
I'm just more focused on that. And that's how our brain works.
Yeah.
It's going to tune into whatever we tune into.
Yeah. I know they was talking about that. One of my girlfriends is in therapy. Her therapist said, the only reason why you keep attracting the same type of man is because that's what you've always chosen. You don't know how to pick something else. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, that's like a ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, with cars. Yeah.
Yeah, and not just that, in everything. Like once we start to pay attention to something, good or bad, that's where our focus is going to go.
Yeah, you wind up attracting more of it.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have a negative mindset, you wind up paying more attention to the negative, and then before you know it, you walking around here bitter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us to recognize our patterns. Like if we don't stop to recognize our patterns and make ourselves aware, nothing can change. Yeah. And it's honestly a challenge. Every day is a struggle and a challenge because our minds automatically just go to what's familiar. Yeah. And that's where we talk about doing the work to make change, which is hard.
Yeah. I've been walking around here on autopilot and just like, okay, this is my survival setting.
Survival mode. And I think that's where we both have been, like, I was talking to one of my girlfriends about that this morning and telling her that I've been struggling. You know, I've honestly been struggling. And it's those times where you're just basically trying to keep your head above water and not completely fall off and lose focus. And she said to me, she said, I noticed that you're very dedicated. I can't think of the word she used about your reading, your devotionals, your worship, your sermons. And that's not just because I want to all the time. It's because I have to.
Yeah.
I know that if I don't do that, guess what?
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem.
Right.
So staying connected to the source is one of my biggest ways to keep out the outside noise and maintain focus, even when I feel like I don't have the strength to necessarily fight. Just keeping something in that can permeate my soul. And I saw something online. It was our sisters at Women Encouraging Women. Hey, y'all. That posted this reel. And the guy was talking about music. And how music is one of the few things that can attach itself to our soul without us giving it permission. Because the artist, some of them, not all of them, I won't say all, but some of them are under the influence of the enemy. And when they create this music, you have this force behind it that's attached to it. And then it's attached into your soul without you really recognizing it. And that the enemy was with the minister of music, worship was his thing. So why wouldn't he use the thing that he's so familiar with to get us out of line and distract us from God? And that was like a whoa.
It's so good at it. What was it? There's a clip. I'm gonna find the clip. If I don't insert it in this video, I'm gonna find a way to like post it on our social media. But there was one rap artist. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. I might be familiar with his music, but I'm not familiar with who it was. But he was having a concert, and he said something along the lines of, "You not willingly signed up for me to take you to hell today."
Wow.
And it was just like, oh, it's too late. You signed up. Like some people were trying to leave. You could see the crowd, like some of the crowd members was trying to, no, it's too late. You signed up.
Wow.
And whether it was a joke or not, I don't know. But just like the unfortunate circumstances of one day we're not going to be here. And what are you going to be doing when you're no longer here? I was like, oh God.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. And I think that's why we can't be ignorant to that type of stuff. And if I'm honest, sisters, I've heard, I think of the older church mothers, which I always reference, that says, oh, don't listen to that. You can't listen. I remember growing up, we couldn't listen to certain music. And I didn't really fully understand it until just recently. You know, people talk about being woke and all of that stuff. I don't get into all that. But to really have that true understanding of it. And something else he said is, it's like, for instance, you can be listening to a romantic song and it's talking about a breakup. And all of a sudden you're sad, like you're internalizing that thing. Well, you ain't been in a relationship in 10 years, but it attaches to your soul.
Yeah.
Things that I just never thought about it in that way. And now that's just making me even more, y'all, say, I'm going to just stick to my praise, my worship.
And there's so many like different variations of gospel music now.
To where guy?
Mike Teasy. I love Mike Teasy. I even got the kids and they be in the back seat and they be going like this. Like, I just love the variation. Now there is some music where I'm just like, I like this song, but
and it's okay. I'm not saying I never listen to it. Like, there may be, I very rarely turn it on, if I'm gonna be honest at this point. But if I'm out and about, like we went to a party this past weekend, I got my jam on. You hear me? Because it was all of the good old school rap and songs that I like. So I'm not opposed to it.
I appreciate the old school rap versus what's
it makes
out
sense.
Now. What's out now? I'm like,
now it's just junk.
How did you get signed again? Like, come on now.
I can't even understand what they're saying. All I hear is the auto-tune stuff in there. I don't get it. But
I was even good with T-Pain. Like, can we go back to?
I don't really know him.
Like,
I know the name.
He was auto-tuned, but people hide behind their auto-tune. They were like, oh, well, y'all were listening to. But put T-Pain with his natural vocals, he's like Babyface and Boys the Men put together. Like he can sing,
but he doesn't really tap
he
into
doesn't.
that.
He doesn't know. He doesn't have to. He didn't have to rely on just one set of skill. He was actually really good and played a few instruments. So I'm like, don't come from my artist because your artist can't do nothing but twerk on stage.
Yeah, you have a bunch of good dancers, so they can keep it going. You know,
And some of them is not even on beat. We're not even.
That's funny, but it's funny how the brain works, and I'm actually doing a lesson on the Bible app about resetting, refocusing, and it's talking about that, like how the brain works and how selective attention allows our brain to focus on one specific thing. And quick story, when I moved from Philly to Jersey, so I'm 17 at that point, in my mind I had already decided that I was going to have a job at, I'm not giving them no credit, but XYZ place, business. And I had no resume. I had no application. I had no interview. I had nothing. But in my mind, I was going to work there. And guess where I ended up working? So I really do believe in the power of manifesting things in that way and directing your focus onto a certain thing. I believe that wholeheartedly. If it's something that's within reason or in reach, or if it's not even a reason or in reach, and it's something that we're praying about.
Yeah, because some stuff sound crazy until you actually get it.
Yeah.
Because like even if you look at our lives and where we grew up and just being in certain living situations where you ain't even know whether you was gonna have a bullet come through your window and whether you was gonna make it to now where we live, what we drive, and what we have.
Yes, manifestation, and it's all about a mindset. Like where your mind goes, everything else follows. And I guess it's just I can't even say getting to a certain age because you're a lot younger than me, but I'm just so thankful for renewed thinking. But again, I don't want y'all to think that this is every day because we have our struggles too, but it's just about recognizing it and what do you do during those times of struggle to keep yourself at least grounded until you can get back up.
Yeah, Kevin Hart was talking about that. He was talking about how you're your biggest enemy. The only thing that's standing in your way is you. The only person you're competing with is you.
Yeah.
He's like, once you get out of your own way, you're fine. But how do we do that?
Yeah.
Like, how do I stay out of my own way, and how do I continually stay out of my way?
Yeah.
Because like, it's okay, I've completed this task. I'm working where I want to work. I'm living and driving what I want to drive. Okay, now what's next? Because once I reach this level, it's hard to not plateau and be like, okay, I've reached it. I can... I'm not worried about the next level.
I think because the focus can't be so heavily weighted on those things. I read something that said, I'm trying to think of how it went. Stuff fades, but love and memories remain. So I think if we put too much emphasis on the stuff to say we made it, oh yeah, you'll never be fulfilled.
Yeah.
It has to be attached to purpose and something else that's going to continuously fulfill you because we be lost.
Yeah, that's where I was at before I started to recognize what my purpose was because, they tell society in general just tells little girls, oh, you have to get married before you reach this age. You have to graduate and you got to go to school before this age. You got to have kids. And then they expect you to do it in a certain order. So being where I did it in the order that was expecting me to do it and then achieved what everybody who raised me dictate how my life should go. It's just like, okay, I got here, but I did this all as a checklist and was looking at the checklist like, okay, now what?
Not because it was what you wanted to do or it was your path.
Yeah.
It was the path that somebody chose for you.
It's like I never really asked myself like, okay, besides marriage, because it's like, okay, if I'm going to be stuck with you the rest of my life, I got to like you. Because if not, one of us is not going to make it out.
It's going to be a problem. But that just goes back to the whole default process. Your focus is based on what you learn. And then undoing all of that is a lifelong challenge.
Yeah. All of it. Like even just like not programming ourselves to me struggling this morning, like, am I gonna put this wig on or am I gonna put this scarf on
And
my
you
head?
see how cute she is.
Yeah, like,
the
I'm
baby hair is popping.
gonna put this scarf on my head today because I don't
Yeah.
feel like it, and it doesn't. And not leaning so much on what other people think, or rather, it matters or it doesn't.
Yeah,
because
you're cute, regardless, and that's the point.
Yeah.
But prior to us getting here to this stage, it was I have to do things.
Man, I would have woke up 2 hours early. I would have like I remember waking up. I remember my one job. One of my friends just had posted this. He's getting ready to do a podcast, and he was asking questions. I remember waking up 3 hours before I should normally be waking up, just to make sure that I was presentable in the work environment according to what their standards, what I thought their standards were. And I got to a point like I think after 2 years of doing that in that work environment where I was just like, I don't feel like doing that. Literally wash my hair. If I got any curly sisters out there, Miss Jessie's is a game changer. It's expensive, but when I tell you it worked.
Yeah.
Threw some Miss Jessie's in my hair and was like, I'm walking in here today. The shift in that atmosphere, like did y'all really forget I'm black?
Yeah.
Like how?
They don't expect it. Well, you know my story.
Yeah.
I would never do what I'm doing now, wearing braids to work or short braids one day, my short curly fro one day, long braids the next.
Man, I used to have them flustered because I'm like, all right, you're going to get blonde this week. You're going to get red next week. You're going to get whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah. And that's where the renewing our minds comes in that we talk about. So that's just to give you a little background of us. Like, if my mind wasn't renewed to where it is now, I would never be wearing this to the office. Like I was so bound that I would wrap it up and put a wig on it to not be seen. So to God be the glory for a renewed mind. But yeah, it was just that bad.
Yeah.
But renewing our minds, it all stems around our outlook, our attitude towards things around us, what's happening. So it's a daily thing. Like, that's something we talk about. Healing is a constant flow. Like, it's a lifelong journey. Renewing your mind and renewing your focus is a lifelong journey. So that's something that goes on forever. And we've talked about like how those thoughts come up in our mind. And instead of us playing a tape over and over and over again, we have to stop it and swap it with something that is positive. Yeah. I was in my affirmation mirror this morning. Hey, just Amanda, doing my affirmations because it's literally been one of those kind of weeks. Yeah. And a lot of times with us, when things are spiritual, like we talk about our spiritual battles on the last episode, go back and watch it, y'all. For me, I don't always understand the why. And I dare to say 75% of the time it has nothing to do with me, but somebody else's burden that I'm carrying. And just trying to keep myself afloat while I figure it out.
That makes perfect sense because I think you're carrying mine. And that's why you feel like that this week. And I didn't plan on.
And I knew something was wrong.
Sharing this. But I don't feel it though. I didn't feel it until maybe not even an hour ago, but I realized that today is the day that I had my miscarriage.
Oh Lord, that's what it is.
That's why you were feeling the way you were feeling all week. But I really I had little moments, but I was just like, okay, no. I had a moment where I was just with the laundry, I was just I don't feel like doing this. And then it was okay, how long can you really take in order to do the laundry today? All right, I'm a designate 2 hours to getting as much of stuff as I can done. Once them 2 hours is done, I'm done. That's it. Yeah. But because I rerouted myself, I had no clue why I was rerouting myself so much. So that's why when you was just how are you feeling? I was I'm fine. Because I really thought I was fine. Because I'm okay, I'm just rerouting through.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was just okay, I can't.
Thank you, Lord.
And then I can't deal with it right now, but it's I know later on, all right, you're gonna have to deal with this.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And no, you don't have to deal with it. You can give it to God and ask him to deal with it for you. But I'm so glad you shared that because like although you didn't see it, I've been seeing it the last couple of days, but just not knowing what it was in you and not knowing that what I was feeling was related to you. But that explains a lot. So we're going to be praying and we're going to allow God to step in and look at the growth in you where you were able to refocus and do something else where before that would have just shut you down.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I didn't realize like when you go through trauma, your body holds like all of your stories. So like if you had, like for instance, my husband had an incident where with a table saw where he almost lost his fingers. Remember, he had cut his fingers really bad. It was getting down to like when it was a certain day of the day that it happened, you would see him just go like this, and he never even recognized it. And I'll just be praying over him because even if your mind doesn't understand what's going on, your body has a natural reaction to it, and and that makes so much sense because I was having like pregnancy symptoms to the point where I was just like, what is going on? I know I ain't pregnant. Thank you, Jesus. But I was like trying to figure out what was going on. And then when I was setting up everything and I was looking at the date on my phone, I was like, yeah, like that explains why I was having like, which felt like morning sickness. Cause it felt like I had to throw up this morning. And I'm like, what is this? What's going on? Yeah. But that's why.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I really do believe that when we see those patterns, when we're cognizant of them, when we recognize them, we have to let the mental battle ensue. Yeah. And it's hard, but we'll get through it because we know we have that power behind us. And we talk about God's strength being made perfect in our weakness and all of those things. But we have to, I see it, let the mental battle ensue. If you can't, that's what your sister friends are for. That's what I'm for. That's what other people are for. And just this morning, when I was talking to my girlfriend, and I told her, I was like, it's transparency moment. And I gave her, the rundown. This is where I'm at. She told me where she was with some things. I'm like, okay, we need to cover each other in prayer. Where old me would have made so many excuses. I would have never told her that. Yeah. And she called me out on it because this morning, like every Friday, we have a group prayer. And I was up, but I didn't want to get on. Like, I didn't feel like it. I wanted to sit in it and not have my girl get up moment. And she sent me a message and she was like, this is a good one. You're missing it. But I didn't see it until maybe 20 minutes later. And I went back and at first I was going to tell her, like, I had it all in my mind. Yeah. Well, I was talking to my husband. I was, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, girl, just be honest, be transparent. As hard as that was for me. And I did right away. She called and we were able to pray. Like she was able to, I told her, like, this is where we've been praying for each other. But we have to continue to be that way.
Yeah. And I'm learning not to. What's a struggle where God wants to use it and allow me to get something out of it versus what's the enemy tormenting me. And it's like, I'm not going to allow the enemy to torment me with this, but God, is there a lesson in this? Do you need me? What do you need me to do with this? But I ain't letting the enemy torment me with this.
No, not at all. And if there's a lesson, yes, we want to get the lesson. Yeah. Because you don't move on until you get the lesson. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm so glad y'all sisters. I'm so glad she talked about that. Now I can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and knowing, okay, this is where how my prayers need to be directed. Yeah. Because that connection is real between the two of us.
I didn't know what it was.
Like, what she mean she all right? No, she's not.
But I'm like,
I'm all right.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what it is, but you are not all right, girl. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. In my mind. But it takes me to the passage in Philippians, and I think it's Philippians 4, and it talks about having those times and thinking on positive things, whatever is lovely, whatever is pure, whatever, like those things in our minds to kind of take us away from the thoughts or feeling that we're having while in the meantime we allow God to come in and do what he needs to do. So we're gonna start focusing on the good
thank
things.
God in the middle of like whatever you're going through, because it's like, okay, you miscarried, you don't have that child, but okay, look what God did. And it's crazy because like just a little bit of the story behind it. This time 5 years ago, after getting that news, I was sitting, like, I was in so much pain I couldn't walk upstairs. So I was literally sitting on our living room couch, and I told God, okay, because of this, my next one is going to be a boy. And I'm not waiting for what the doctors, because the doctors tell you you have to have 2 periods before you get pregnant again, just so to give your body time to heal. And I told God, I was like, I'm not waiting. Didn't ask him. Like, it was like, no, I'm not waiting. I want this now. By the time I went back, I think it was less than 30 days. By the time I went back to the doctors, I was pregnant.
Wow. So he honored that.
Yes. And they was looking at me like, and I told Warren, my husband, I was like, this one's a boy. Like, I had already knew. I knew. Like, I knew when you, like, you, I know. I was picking out, as soon as they told me I was pregnant, I was picking out boy clothes. I was like, it's a boy. Had started picking out his room, had started putting stuff together. I was like, it's a boy. It's a wrap. That's it.
Wow.
And then find out he was a 9-pound boy. But like, listen.
Struggle to come out boy. But thank God for honoring that. Like,
because he didn't have to.
Right. So awesome, so worthy, so faithful. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that. But even in that instance, kudos to you again for not sitting there too long, because that's hard. Even though it comes up, and you handle it. But in that moment, you owned those thoughts that I'm sure were trying to creep in. And that way it prevents those thoughts from owning you. So it doesn't sit with you.
Yeah, that situation showed me a lot.
I bet.
It showed me I lost a friend in that process. It showed me who my circle was, helped me get rid of some people. It showed me who some family members or extended family members were, because my son is the third. And it was just like, oh, well, you're the only one who can carry that bloodline of giving Warren a third. So, like, the pressure that I felt people of my first child was a girl. And this is like, okay, well, I need to overperform so that I can have my son.
Wow.
And then having my son, and there was so much prayer that went in while I was carrying him. So I suggest that any woman that is looking to have kids, that they do go and get the blood work done ahead of time, because it tells you what you're in for. Had I done that, I would have known. I didn't know until my first child that I was Rh negative, which means that my body automatically fights off everything, which is why most of the time I don't get sick. But any child after your first one, it's harder for you to get pregnant. I didn't know that. I wasn't educated on that. So when I had my son, and we're the opposite, and my body was like gunning for him, I had to have an early shot with him of Rogaine in order to keep him. And then three. Another one in like the middle of my pregnancy, and another one after I had him, because it can cause, you can bleed out after I would have had him. So they have to give you they have to give you another one.
Wow.
But like not even understanding like my whole chemistry, or just like how I carry the sickle cell trait. My husband doesn't. But had I not known that, I didn't know until that time. Okay, you carry the sickle cell trait, and then having to check him.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely in our family, and like one of our cousins had sickle cell for that reason of people not knowing. Yeah. But good for you for putting the focus on you. Putting the focus on you to know. And sadly, sometimes it takes our children or something like that to make us really pay attention, because we just, we're not that we're not as concerned about ourselves, but kids are a whole different ball game. Yeah, that's so true. So good for you for putting the focus on you and finding out. So now you have the tools and you know what to do to maintain this pregnancy.
Yeah, by the time I it was like, God bless you double, because we ain't playing the next one. And it's crazy because but each one of my kids, I kind of know them pretty early, but I was very clear on the attack that would have come if I was aware of what I was carrying. And just like, even she's only 2, just looking at the gifts that she has and some of the stuff that she knows at 2. I didn't know until I was a week away from hitting my 2nd trimester. And I'm like, how did I make it? Remember, we was going out to eat. He was like, why you eating so much? I was like, girl, I'm just hungry. I got to share all my food when I'm with the kids. But it just, like, even being tired, like, I didn't equate any of that with being pregnant. It's like, okay, I gained some weight. Okay, we in the middle of COVID. Everybody gained some weight. I've been ordering. I've been sitting up there, Papa John's. Everybody done been at my house. I've been eating every day. So, like, not even realizing, like, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I thank God for his protection, even in that, and keeping you with that.
And some stuff we don't even know what we carry.
Oh, Lord.
Like, you don't know, like, and some stuff, it was like, I don't know what my people are such in a rush to understand that what their purpose is. But if you understood your purpose, you might be, if you don't get it when you feel as though you're supposed to get it, it's okay. Because it could be a detriment. You could wind up hurting your purpose because you're not even equipped to handle it. No.
You're not ready. And God has been showing me some things with that too. Like, we talk about focus on purpose and how he shows us things and we want it instantaneously, but he's been showing me things in me. Like, I've talked about the whole eating thing and detox and all of that. Like, some things have to happen before we get to, or I'll speak for myself, before I get to a certain point. And because time means nothing to him in his eyes, it's like, no, this is what this.
Because I'm like, listen, kid, we counted a little bit, and we like,
But in the meantime, we have to keep our focus on purpose. Keep our focus on purpose. Continue to renew our minds daily, sisters, with some of the tools that we went over. And most importantly, when you need to renew your mind or you're feeling out of whack, focus on the little things. Appreciate the little things. Because I can't think of who I was talking to about it, but we were out and about, and there was a friend of a friend. We were at a party, friend of a friend who had a stroke, and she was there, and just watching her, who she was just like us, a couple years back, having a good time talking. And she's not even able to do just the basics without help. That just sheds a whole new light on appreciating the little things. Like, even the aches and pains, the things that happen daily, but I'm still able to get up and move about. She would probably love to be able to live what would be seemingly a normal life from the outside with some aches and pains. So we're going to keep the focus on the little things that we have to be grateful for, because everybody has something to be grateful
And then the minute you think you got it real bad, gotta show you real quick, oh no, there's somebody else that has it way worse or has been through some of the people's testimonies of what they went through, and they're still standing. I'm just like, here I am crying because I got my BMW and I hit a flat tire and I'm about to have a whole fit. And God was like, I know you not. That you have the money for to replace the flat tire. Like,
you're not stranded on the side of the road.
Like, and then you can go in the driveway and go get another car. Like, stop playing with me.
That's so true.
It's like, you are like, I know sometimes like you are spoiled beyond belief when it comes to not even with just stuff, but like just being able to get up and move, just being able to take a breath unassisted or without pain.
Just all the stuff that we take for granted. And that's why I'm thankful for my sister circle. And I have one friend that keeps me grounded because she finds the beauty in everything. She doesn't complain. It's like, what does the Bible say about it? Like, kind of, she is my what would Jesus do person, So I'm thankful for those people. So while we start to wrap up, because it is time, that brings us to our question. Yeah. And that is, what does sisterhood mean to you?
I'm gonna let you go first. Okay. I'm gonna need to think about that one.
For me, just from how my whole day went, it started with my friend and her holding me accountable and all of those things. I will say sisterhood means accountability, because without that, we can't make it. We really can't make it. And trusting those people that God has handpicked for us in our lives and giving them the freedom to hold us accountable. Because that, for me, if I'm honest, y'all, even a year ago, no. First of all, I'm not going to be vulnerable enough for you to know what's going on and then allow you to hold me accountable. Yeah. So for me, it's accountability.
Yeah. I think about like the relationship with my sisters as a reflection of God. Like, especially now with the ones that he's ordained in our lives. And looking at how God talks about, what is it? He gives you joy for ashes, beauty for ashes. Yes. And just looking at how he completely turned everything around. Like, you think you have something that's burnt down to the ground that you can't do nothing with. And then he builds a new house on top of it because the foundation is still there.
Ooh, to God be the glory.
And it's just like, that's what my sisterhood is. No matter how much I feel as though something is unusable, a mess, or just not quite all figured out. Because it don't have to be all the way ugly, but it's just like, I got these pieces and I don't even know how to connect all of this together. Just throw them away. Yeah, because I know what you showed me, but I don't know how this full puzzle piece isn't together. You know how we are. Like, I want these pieces organized. Yes, I want these, color code them so I can put these pieces together so it can make sense. Yes. And it's okay that it doesn't make sense because it's beauty for ashes. Exactly. He gonna make it beautiful.
Yeah, and he's going to make it all perfect in the end. And my pastor is actually talking about that, and she's in her 60s now.
She looks so good. I was watching the video of her.
Yeah, she is now living in the testimony of things that God showed her 20, 30 years ago, where it just didn't make sense because she was living a life that didn't match up to what he was saying he was going to do. But now she's living it because, again, God has no concept of time, but that was his timing for her. And she is living a life, and I love it. I love it all for her. I do. Okay. So I guess we're going to wrap up here, sisters. We want you all to enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye.